Hello and welcome to another episode of Impact's special series Inspiring Space Explorers of 2023. Today we have with us Nisheet Singh, a trailblazer in the realm of space exploration. As the head of operations and system engineer at Spartan Space, Nisheet has dedicated his career to developing habitation space systems for space and the moon. Let us dwell into his inspiring journey and visionary contribution to the evolving landscape of space exploration. Hi, Nishid. Welcome.
Hi, Shrutika. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Nishid, can you please introduce yourself to our audience and give us a brief overview of your journey so far?
Sure, Shrutika. As you know, my name is Nisheet. I'm originally from Lucknow, India. I did my engineering from Symbiosis, Pune, where I stayed in the city for almost 8 years. So after doing my engineering, I worked in the IT sector for companies like HCL and Amazon. Then I kind of made a career shift because I wanted to be in the space exploration business. So I moved out of Pune, or actually India, and I pursued my master's at International Space University, where I did two programs from them. One was the space study program in 2017, and then the master's program in 2018. So that was the academic career, and then once I finished my master's, I got an opportunity to intern at a company in France, where I interned and worked for around 2.5 years. And along with my team, after 2.5 years, we founded Spartan Space, where currently I'm heading up the operations and the system engineering activities.
That's great. So, as you mentioned that you were a student at the International Space University. So, can you tell me how has that particular period influenced your career?
So, as I mentioned before in my introduction, I was obviously working back in India after the engineering, and it was quite a tough situation for me because I wanted to do something or to do something in the space industry, which made me to, let's say, apply for the International Space University program. I wanted the complete experience of the university program, so I selected the space study program as well. So this is basically a 3.5 month space camp where the university brings in experts from all over the industry, from NASA, people from ISRO also joining in, and throw in few students in there so that they can learn with these industry experts. So that was quite an experience. I was in Ireland for 3.5 months, surrounded by rocket scientists, uh, planetary biologists, and all these different, let's say, stream of people. And then that was kind of a very good mix for a person coming not directly from the industry, from outside the industry. So um, I would say the SSP experience was more of getting to know people, how things are working in space industry, what are the different domains of the industry, which kind of helped me to, let's say, choose a direction um within the industry where I want to place myself in the coming years. And then for the master's program, it was basically a general masters of space study, in which there were certain team projects, individual projects, internships, kind of a regular university schedule. It was the main, let's say, I would say, advantage was the mix of people. So we had students from all around the world with all different perspectives, all different disciplines, coming together and trying to tackle the space industry. So that was kind of a good experience. But again, I would say this was personally for me, coming someone coming from the non coming from the from not from the space industry, from outside, but with a work experience. Because I would say the ISU program is more for professionals, I would say, who have a prior work experience, or who are already in the industry and looking to widen their horizon about different aspects of the industry. So um, that's the main, let's say, that was my main advantage, that I had some work experience prior to coming, no matter it was in the space industry or not. But I had that, so it gave me an edge, because I would say coming directly from a bachelor degree to a program like this can be quite difficult and hard to adjust to, because you're not familiar with the working culture, or being a professional student, I would say.
Mhm. Right, 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 right. I think the more diverse the team is, the more culturally different the people are. I think in
Mhm.
any industry, irrespective of any industry, uh, the learning edge just rises any which ways. So I think you had quite a good experience during your master's program.
Mhm.
So coming at your current role, so you are the head of operations and system engineer at Spartan Space. So I would like to know what inspired you to co-found it with the other set of partners that you have.
Okay, so I'll define the role in a bit more words, I would say. Uh, Sorry. So at Spartan Space, we are a small team, and everybody has to do everything since it's a small team. We are a startup, but officially, my role in the company is head of operations, where I am organizing and coordinating missions. Maybe simulation, or maybe some mock-up construction at a seminar, or for simulations. So this is the part of everyday job that I do. And also on the system engineering part, there's a lot of project management that needs to be done, the ongoing projects, uh, the management of those projects basically, and then also contribution towards the ongoing projects, where my expertise fit in as a system engineer or a electronic engineer.
Mhm. Okay, okay. So because
Uh,
you
and
mentioned, yes,
and
yes,
sorry,
sorry, sorry. Mhm.
going to the second part of your question, what inspired me is the team.
Mhm.
So together with the Spartan team, I've been working from quite some time now, and that was the main, let's say, driving force for us to go to set up Spartan Space, because we loved working with each other. There is a really nice, let's say, working environment where I understand my other colleagues, and they understand me perfectly. So it's a really nice balanced team right now. Um, so yeah, that was the inspiration to work with each other, because that was a that this is a perfect team that we've been working from a long time now.
That's really nice to know. Irrespective of whether your team is small or not, and everyone has to do maybe cross-sectional roles or not, having a great team is a must. So, because you mentioned that there are different projects, so can you, and also because Spartan Space focuses on developing habitation systems for space and the moon, can you
Mhm.
provide some examples of specific projects or initiatives that the company is currently working on in with this regards.
Back when we founded the company, we had this idea of secondary habitat for the lunar surface, which is called Eurohab. This
Mhm.
is basically a secondary habitat delivered to the surface of the moon by a lander. May it be a European Space Agency lander or a commercial lander, uh, to the lunar surface, serving as a secondary habitat. So basically, This habitat is sent prior to any human landing on the lunar surface. It goes with a robotic lander, lands autonomously on the surface of the moon, and waits for the astronauts. So when the astronauts are going through the human landing system or under the Artemis missions, these astronauts can access this habitat. So just to give you a bit of background, why we need a secondary habitat is because once Artemis has launched NASA has launched these Artemis missions right now, where they plan to land astronauts on the south pole of the moon. So um, South Pole, if you map it, it's not bigger than Paris, the area of the South Pole. So uh, once you start mapping these points where they want to land, and also these points which are identified as interesting points. These interesting points being presence of water ice and high illumination area. High illumination area meaning that there is constant sunlight for power production, let's say. So these points of interest are far away from these landing spots, and if we need to have a sustainable presence on the moon, like everybody is saying about colonies on Moon and Mars. So to have this, we would need to access this water ice, these region of high illumination where energy can be produced. And when we map all of this on the surface of the moon on the south pole, we see there is a clear gap between these landing spots and the points of interest. Uh, so there's a security constraint by NASA that the astronaut on feet cannot go 2 kilometers away from the landing vehicle, and with a unpressurized rover like the lunar terrain vehicle that they used during the Apollo mission, the security limit is 10 kilometers. This is purely on an assumption that to avoid any off-nominal situation or any emergency if they are going, let's say, beyond 10 kilometers. If they remain in this perimeter, they can safely go back to the HLS. So let's assume you put this secondary habitat on this 10-kilometer limit. Of course, the astronaut can go further and explore and go back to the HLS. Let's say, in case if they have an emergency, they can take shelter or refuge in this habitat, or if they have an extended mission to explore a further point, they can come and rest in this kind of habitat. So this not only serves as a safe haven for the astronauts, but also exponentially increases the exploration area on the South Pole. Um, so this is one of the major concepts that we have been working on. So once we founded the company, we have an sort of ideology at Spartan where, uh, of course, we like to make models on computers, but we are heavily involved in prototyping. So we had this concept. We went into prototyping. So within the first year of our company, we developed a scale one prototype of this habitat. Also showcased this at the IAC, the International Astronomical Congress in Dubai. Um, and then yeah, and then we had several projects with the European Space Agency, with the French Space Agency on similar topics.
Wow, wow, this is really dynamic. And I think that's one of the major sustainable projects I have heard so far while taking this particular series. This is really great to know. And so, of course, with such bigger projects, there might be some core technologies and some operational modes that Spartan Space is developing. So can you tell me a little bit that how does this particular thing enable humans to live and work in extreme space and underwater environments?
Sure. As I told you about Eurohab, so extreme
Mhm,
environment, it can be on Earth, it can be in space, it can be on any planetary object. So and
mhm,
most of them are I would say are similar. So if you go
Mhm.
underwater, there is no breathable air, so you have to produce your own air. It's same on moon. There is no breathable air, so you have to produce it somehow, or you have to take it with you. So these are,
Mhm.
let's say, technologies which can be transferred within these extreme environments, underwater or space. So, what at Spartan, what we are developing is the life support system for these kinds of habitat, and it's not
Mhm.
only limited to habitats. I would say we are also working on spacesuit development, where we are also working on a portable life support system
Mhm.
that could sustain humans in space.
Nice, nice. Okay. So these were the projects which you operating under Spartans. So I want to know that are there any projects you worked on as an independent consultant? And if yes, then what were your key contributions you've made to these projects?
Sure. Yep. So there were several projects earlier, but all of them were related. Since I'm kind of a space exploration enthusiast, so most of the projects were related to moon or habitation systems. One of them was to, let's say, every kg of material on the moon is valuable. So to assess this thing we called in situ resource utilization. So whatever you have, you recycle it and use it for another purpose. So there was a project where we kind of listed all the assets on the surface of the moon, where what can be done with those, what can be recycled, what cannot be recycled, uh, to for further uses. So this is coming under, let's say, the sustainability part, where we are not just throwing away these valuable materials on the surface of the moon, but recycling it and using it for other purposes.
Wow. That's nice. That's great. In our audience, we have a great audience base wherein there are certain budding entrepreneurs, or because we are running a space edition, there are also certain aspiring space geeks. So, for them, I would like to ask you that how do you stay updated with the latest developments and the trends in the space industry, and how do you incorporate these knowledge into your daily work?
Okay, so I'll start a little bit from the past. So when I was not in
Mhm.
the industry, I was working in India. The main, let's say, access point for information were these news websites. There are many of them. Let's say, reading these articles, getting up to date with what latest is going on in the industry. And
Mhm.
so this was totally when I was not at all related to the industry. And then I would say, if I go more into detail, then reading research papers, um, um, with the new technologies that are coming up. And then also, I would say conferences plays a very big role uh, in keeping connected with the people of the industry. So going to conferences, meeting people, talking to them. So this kinds of builds up your personal repo as well with other people, and as well as it keeps us updated on the on the latest developments in the industry. And to incorporate into my work, it's kind of hard to, let's say, give an example of, but all these information coming from everywhere, you have to, let's say, um, pick and choose which can be
Mhm.
implemented in your research or development. So let me give you an example. So if you're at a conference, let's say you're talking to someone, and then uh, while talking, you kind of find a similar thing that you both are doing. So then that calls for a collaboration. So this is how things or projects are born at a conference, standing two people standing and talking. So this is, let's say, one of the major, I would say, source for keeping me updated with the industry. And yeah.
Okay. So, a question which is out of the box related to this only. So, this particular industry, I think, is a lot confidential in itself.
Mhm.
So, how much do you think is the information available and accessible to everyone and anyone?
Uh, there are two parts of it, I would say. One is the satellite business, and one is the space exploration business. And both of them are coming under the space, the overall space bracket. But once we dive into individual topics, I would say some of them becomes really confidential or not for open in public, because of course space comes under defense for most of the industry or most of the countries. So
Mhm.
I'm sorry. So some of them, yeah, some of the data you can is readily available, like the satellite data from Galileo and Copernicus, which is readily available to the public, to the private companies for them to use as they want. But then there are certain development which are, let's say, ongoing. For that, it's very difficult if you're not directly involved into the project. Then this whole, let's say, data set would be closed for you.
Right, right, right. I think that's one of the major parts in this particular industry that the defense sector also comes into play,
Mhm.
wherein the confidentiality thing lies more. So, Nishit, can you provide an example of a particular challenging problem you've faced in your career and how have you solved it?
Okay. Uh, yeah, good question. From the top of my mind, I could uh, immediately point out two challenges which completely, let's say, changed my life. So one of them was, as I mentioned before, I was working in India, and then I wanted to have a career change. So back in India, while I was working, it was kind of a monotonous job, and uh, not not nowhere related to space. So I started to look around in India. At that time, there was not a lot of opportunities in the space exploration business. There was, of course, a lot of opportunities in propulsion, because ISRO was more, let's say, towards the rocket side of space. So I started to look out of India. I applied a lot of a lot of places, and then I finally found ISU, which kind of fit my criterias for moving out of India and studying. So that was one of my main challenges, to leave a good career back in India, and then move to a different continent and start studying towards a different career. So that was one of the challenges. I would say defined my path where I am right now. Uh,
Mhm.
and then the second one I would say was when I started to work in France with the team that we have right now at Spartan, in a different let's in a non-English speaking country.
Mhm.
That was another challenge, but the people were nice, so it kind of helped. They helped me to ease into it, and then. The leaving and then yeah, of course, leaving the job and founding Spartan Space in just after COVID. So these were, let's say, the challenges I found, but To solve it, I would say it was more get your head down and start working. That was the only solution I would say that helped me throughout all these problems.
Right, right. So, because you had like a change in career, earlier you were doing something different, then you got into space. I would like to know what are the most critical skills? Because again, the skill set there was different, the skill set here is different. So, what are the critical skills and the qualities for success in space system consulting field?
Yeah, good question, Shrutika. So, yeah, the most critical skill, I would say, of course, everybody has their own niche skill, like a engineer or a scientist, but those are, I would say, your personal skills. But the most critical skill, I would say, is teamwork. You should know how to collaborate with people, or how to manage a team, or be a part of the team, no matter if someone else is leading it. So this is a very big part in I would say in any business, but specifically what I've learned from experience in my business, it's teamwork is the most critical skill that anyone has to have in order to let's say have success, because you will in a team, if you're doing a project, it's not just engineers and scientists, it might be people from other fields like policy, like architects. So you have to make your own sorry to give your own views without neglecting other views of other people from other industries. So keeping everyone together and progressing as a team, definitely it's one of the critical skills for this industry.
So true, so true. I think it's for all industries, I would say, because none of us is smart as like none of us is as smart as all of us together. So yeah, so
Exactly.
we are almost at the end of this interview, and we're at the last question. This is a very conventional question which we ask everyone that as a professional, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, and how do you plan to get there?
Okay. Uh, so the next 5 years, I would say uh, I see myself actively contributing to the moon missions, and trying to get this sustainability on moon, where we have sustainable presence of astronauts or humans on the surface and around the moon as well. And yeah, I want to see myself heavily involved in doing that.
That's great, Nishit. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. We look forward to witnessing the continued impact of your work. And all the very best. And we hope we impact, my entire team hopes that you reach the moon in the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrutika. It was a pleasure to talk to you.